Hi, welcome to Buffzone. I'm Kyle Ringo. This is Brian Howell. We're in Folsom Field, and Brian, we've reached a point of the year where it's really become a not so favorite part of the year for me in recent years, because this is the point of the year where the Buffs are no longer shooting for a bowl game and kind of had a lot of their season goals taken away from them, and they're really playing for pride, for seniors, for next year.
Yeah,
Uh, what are your thoughts on where the Buffs stand right now?
yeah. It just has that very same feeling as the last several years, to where obviously I cover the basketball team a lot, and where I'm at that point, like, okay, when's basketball start? It's next week, and kind of not can't wait for that. But the one difference, obviously, is that this team, we've talked about it for weeks, but this team is playing a lot better than it has. So at least there's that it's not that week in week out drubbing that they've been receiving for a couple of years, and so there's some difference there. But the overall feeling is definitely the same.
Hey, at the beginning of the year, I said I thought the absolute ceiling for this team would be 6 wins in a bowl game, and I also said that I thought this year could turn into one of the more frustrating years in recent memory, because I thought this team would be much improved, but maybe it wouldn't show up in the standings. And part of the reason I said that was because the Pac-12 was obviously
Right.
so tough with so many veteran quarterbacks and whatnot. And unfortunately, that's the way it's played out for the Buffs. They let one slip away against Washington last week, and this week they're going on the road against another top 25 team
Yeah.
in at Arizona. What are your expectations for this team and how it handles what's in front of it this week?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think at the beginning of the year, this was one of those games that we looked at and thought, oh, that's a possible win.
Right.
And then Arizona's been much better than everybody thought. The Wildcats have been, I don't know, struggling, but they've lost 2 of their last 3. They were undefeated before that, and so they're not playing their best football right now. I think they're definitely beatable, and it's kind of the same thing we keep saying every week, that I could see the Buffs giving a pretty good effort, and maybe stealing one down there, but I don't expect it to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I see the Buffs getting over the hump on the road. That's been a sort of bugaboo for them for a long time now. Not just this team, not just the Mike McIntyre era. It goes back a little ways. It's been more than a decade since they won on the road against a ranked team, and
Yeah.
and I'm not sure I expect that to happen this season, but I do think their next home game against Utah might be. I know Utah's really good and has a lot to play for
Right.
and stuff, but I think that might be their best opportunity for a victory the remainder of this season. But if they get things to go their way against one of these teams down the stretch,
Yeah.
turnovers, and then they don't give the ball back to the other team, maybe they can pull off an upset.
Yeah, I think they possibly could, and this will be the week. I mean, I think next or the
Oregon,
2 weeks.
you
Yeah,
don't think at Oregon?
I'm going to go no on that one. But Arizona, in their 2 losses in the last few weeks, they're the only 2 games this year they've given up more than 200 yards rushing. The Buffs are running the ball better, so maybe if they can get that run game going, that might be a key. The other thing in those 2 losses for Arizona, they were the only 2 games of the year they were held under 100 yards rushing. So,
Okay.
the run game has been a key for Arizona this year, good and bad. And so if the Buffs can, Buffs haven't held anybody under 100 yet, though.
Right.
So if their run defense can play well and they can run the ball, then I think they got a shot.
Yeah, you see a freshman quarterback, and oftentimes you think, well, hey, that's a winnable game.
Yeah.
But Anu Solomon has played really well this year for a freshman. 21 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. He's not a guy that's making a lot of mistakes. He's anytime you got a guy who leads a team to a victory on the road at Oregon as a freshman,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. And
Right.
so he's a guy who'll make plays with his feet. He's elusive, throws. Mike McIntyre's talked a lot this week about how well he throws the ball when he's on the run, and that's problematic for a defense that's
Right.
already having problems containing guys who don't run as much as him.
Yeah, and a defense that's had some of their best guys that are, injured, that have been out. I don't know if they'll play or not. I mean, Addison Gillum is getting better. I don't know if you've heard anything. I don't know if he's going to play, if he's going to be healthy enough. Tedrick Thompson's been out, so they've been banged up back there, and that's a tough thing for any defense, but especially one that's banged up.
Right, exactly. So Mike McIntyre said today that he's hopeful to have Tedrick Thompson and Addison Gillum, who before they each got hurt or started dealing with their illness, they were 1 and 2 in tackling on the team. So getting them back would be huge if they are, healthy and ready to play. It might be Oregon before they're both back on the field, but we'll have to see about that on Saturday. But at least there's some hope there for having those guys back. They're important to this defense. So I'm sort of expecting another bummer Saturday for the Buffs.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I've said it several times, but I think it'll be a fairly close game, but I think it's the one that Arizona pulls out.
It would be a huge day, though, to get that road bugaboo out, off their backs, and just get a Pac-12 win would make this team and these players, give them some confidence and something to build on, going into the offseason, even though the offseason's still a few games away. So
1-22 in their last 23 Pac-12 games. So they'd like to get a few more of those here in the last few weeks.
All right, well, we'll be back next week to talk a little hoops with hoop season around the corner and the Buffs football team on a bye week, and then later in the month we'll talk about Oregon and Utah.